You're more like Toji than you think. Toji is so much more than a symbol of motivation or discipline. He's someone who had nothing, no cursed energy at all, and still managed to defeat a god with pure strategy and hard work. He's the perfect representation of what it means to be rejected. That awful feeling we get along with the burning desire to prove to the world that they were wrong about us. That urge to build an incredible physique and become a multi-millionaire just so we can buy what we've always dreamed of and show up in front of those who said we'd never make it. It's no coincidence he's one of the community's favorite characters. He makes us feel a deep connection, even if it's subconscious. But is it dangerous for us to identify so much with a villain? And why does this villain have way more in common with us than the hero himself? To analyze this character, we need to go back to the beginning of his story and understand how the trauma he suffered made him into the character we know. Toji didn't always have the Fushiguro surname. In fact, he was born into the Zenin clan, one of the most powerful families in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. The problem is that Toji was born without any cursed energy. In a clan obsessed with power and cursed techniques, this was the worst thing that could happen. Toji was treated like trash by his own family. He was called defective, a monkey. Maki is a character who had the same problems. She was also born into the Zenin clan without cursed energy, and we start to see this hatred for the clan in the anime through her. But the torture he suffered wasn't just psychological. The Zenin clan didn't just live off insults. The abuse was physical too. They threw child Toji into a pit full of grade 2 curses as training and discipline. It's literally a child being attacked by monsters on his own family's orders. There are even theories that the scar on his mouth came from this abuse. When you grow up in a dysfunctional environment where people constantly treat you like trash, as someone inferior to others who doesn't deserve respect, that doesn't go away. It leaves a mark. Continuous rejection destroys your self-perception and creates trauma, where either you start believing it or you develop such a deep rage that you spend your entire life trying to prove they were wrong. Toji chose the second path. He developed such contempt for the clan that when he grew up, he left and did something symbolic to cement it. He dropped the Zenin surname to take his wife's name, Fushiguro. He rejected the identity they tried to force on him, but he never managed to reject the pain that identity caused. How many of us don't carry a scar like that? It doesn't have to be as extreme as Toji's. It could be that father who said you'd amount to nothing, that ex who made you feel disposable, that teacher who laughed at your dream. The scar remains, and sometimes we spend our entire lives trying to prove that person was wrong. But what happens when you live a life just to prove something? The first time Toji appears in the anime, he's gambling. And let's be real, unless you're a millionaire messing around in a casino, gambling is one of the most desperate means for someone trying to change their life fast. But the craziest part is it wasn't about the money. I mean, yes, he needed money. He accepted missions for payment. But Toji's motivation wasn't just money. If it were only about that, he never would have done what he did. Even in a bet, Toji needed to win. That's the difference between someone who wants to succeed and someone who needs to succeed. Toji needed to win, even if it was just a bet. Actually, he didn't just want to win. He wanted to be beyond the game. He wanted to annihilate the entire narrative they created about him. He wanted to prove that a monkey without cursed energy could be better than any of them, could be stronger, completely destroying the idea that he was inferior. Toji accumulated so much rage towards sorcerers that after leaving the clan, he became the sorcerer killer. But it's hard to be a sorcerer killer when the sorcerer who shows up in front of you is Satoru Gojo. He literally represented everything Toji didn't have. Born with perfect genetics, the best possible gifts including the 6 eyes and infinity, techniques that appear once every 100 years. Gojo was Toji's complete opposite. It was like seeing two extremes. Gojo was blessed, Toji was cursed. He saw in Gojo the perfect opportunity. If he could defeat him, if he could beat someone who had everything, that would be the ultimate proof that he was worth something. To do this, he studied Gojo. Ever since he was a kid, Toji had seen that it was practically impossible to catch him off guard, so he planned and crafted the perfect strategy. In the Jujutsu universe, there's an ancient entity called Master Tengen. He's responsible for maintaining the barriers that protect Japan and the sorcery schools. However, Tengen has an immortality technique that doesn't prevent aging, only death. As he ages, his technique tries to upgrade his body, which would make him transcend humanity and become something closer to a curse than a human. To prevent Tengen from losing consciousness and becoming a danger to the world, every 500 years, he needs to merge with a compatible human, the Star Plasma Vessel. Riko Amanai was that person. To ensure everything would go smoothly, they called 2 weakling sorcerers to serve as bodyguards. I think you know them. Satoru Gojo and Suguru Gato. For 5 days until the merger, they had the mission to protect the girl because she was being hunted by two groups. Group Q, an organization of curse users who wanted to bring down Master Tengen's barriers to create chaos in the sorcery world. They wanted to kill Riko to prevent the merger. And the Time Vessel Association, a religious group that worshipped Tengen as a pure divinity. For them, the idea of an impure human merging with their god was blasphemy. They wanted to eliminate Riko to maintain Tengen's purity, even if it cost the world's stability. The irony is that it was exactly these fanatics who hired Toji, and he had a brilliant plan. He knew he couldn't beat Gojo in direct combat, since the Six Eyes allowed Gojo to stay alert 24 hours a day. He posted a bounty for Riko's head on an underground sorcerer forum, but with an expiration date of only 48 hours. This created a sense of urgency, where all the bounty hunters and low-level sorcerers attacked Gojo and Geto non-stop, one after another, and Gojo, being the strongest, took responsibility for keeping Infinity activated at all times to ensure nothing would hit Riko. He didn't sleep and barely rested for 2 straight days. While other sorcerers did the dirty work, when Gojo was at his limit, Toji attacked, and since he had no cursed energy, the Six Eyes couldn't detect him as a magical threat. He was like a ghost on the radar. With that, he attacked Gojo from behind and won. A man without any cursed energy defeated someone who was practically a god. After that, he completed the objective of killing Riko. This part has a really cool scene where Geto sees Toji. The moment he realizes that if Toji is there, it's because Satoru had been eliminated. He also defeated Geto and did it Toji style, putting an X on his chest.
親に恵まれたな。だが、その恵まれたお前らが呪術も使えねえ俺みたいな猿に負けたと長生きしたけん忘れんな。
He wanted to hear the world admit they were wrong about him. He wanted them to acknowledge that he was strong, even after completing the mission, even after defeating Satoru Gojo and Suguru Geto. Not even that was enough. He could have escaped easily. Without cursed energy, it would be easy to disappear, but he didn't run. He came back to fight Gojo again, even knowing it was a suicide mission, because winning wasn't enough. He needed more, always more. More validation, more proof, more recognition. When you live with the sole purpose of showing the world what you can do, it will never be enough. You can achieve the impossible. You can defeat a god and still feel empty, because your achievement isn't yours, it's theirs. You're measuring your worth by the ruler of those who hurt you. But was there a way out for Toji? Could he have been saved? There was a moment when Toji found peace. When he left the Zenin clan, Toji met Megumi's mother. We never learn her name in the anime, but her impact on Toji's life was huge. For the first time in his life, someone saw value in Toji without him needing to prove anything. No fights, no displays of strength, just love. Her kindness was able to ease the mental instability and bitterness he'd carried since childhood. During the time he spent with her, and after Megumi's birth, Toji found momentary peace. He set aside that insane and savage behavior. He was calmer, more stable. It was during this time, moved by this genuine feeling, that he adopted her surname. He became Toji Fushiguro, no longer Zenin. He had found the answer: unconditional love. Someone who saw him as human, not as monkey or cursed, just human. But Toji's tragedy is that he lost it. His wife died shortly after Megumi's birth, and with that loss, Toji lost his emotional anchor. He went back to being the cold, cynical assassin. He returned to a life of violence, went back to using that rage as fuel. He experienced what it was like to be loved without him needing to prove anything, and it was ripped away from him. How many of us have people who love us, but still live trying to prove something to those who hurt us in the past? Toji had salvation and lost it, but the difference is you can still choose to hold on to what you have. But before we talk about you, let's talk about us, because there's a reason we identify so much with this character. Toji is the extreme version of us when we suffer a strong rejection. This is very common, especially among us men. If some woman rejected us, we want to prove to her, even unconsciously, that we're better, that she was wrong to reject us. The gym becomes way more interesting after romantic disappointment. The desire to get rich triples when someone says you can't do it. Is this motivation to achieve something big coming from you, or from the desire to throw it in someone's face? It could be someone who rejected you, some family member or teacher who said you had no future, a friend who didn't believe in your dreams. The reality is that often we don't seek success just for the achievement itself. Often we do it to prove something to the world. There's nothing wrong with using rejection as initial motivation. On the contrary, sometimes getting turned down, being rejected at a job interview, or having a family member who doubts your ability can be the best thing because it becomes very strong motivation. The problem is when it becomes your only motivation, when your entire life becomes about proving something, when each achievement only has value value if that specific person is there to witness it. That is living in a prison. You're measuring your success by others' approval. I want you to do an exercise with me. Imagine yourself in your ideal version, the physique you've always dreamed of. You're on a beach in another country. You're on the Brazilian coast. Feel the sand under your feet. Feel the breeze bringing that ocean smell to your nose. You're completely at peace, not worried about money because you've worked enough to not need to look at prices. You're with your best friends having fun, enjoying the day, everything perfect. Now, come back here. Does it make sense for you, living everything you've always wanted, always dreamed of, to be worried about validation from someone who hurt you? Toji defeated a god and still felt empty because he never did it for himself. He did it to prove something to the Zenin clan, to a world that rejected him, and in the end, that world didn't even care. But how do we escape this? How do we break this cycle? First, let's understand what Toji realized too late. After coming back to face Gojo a second time, but now it was an evolved Gojo. A Gojo who went beyond, who discovered Hollow Purple, and half of Toji's body was destroyed. In his final moments, with half his body disintegrating, Toji doesn't think about the clan that rejected him, doesn't think about how he proved he was strong, doesn't think about revenge or validation. He thinks about Megumi. What breaks your heart is that in that moment, it was already too late. He had wasted his entire life seeking validation from people who never cared about him, and the only people who really mattered, his wife and son, he couldn't stay close to them. Toji dies full of regrets, not about losing the fight, but about wasting his life. And there's a very interesting detail in the anime. When someone asks about his son and he says Megumi, the guy's like, what a weird name for a boy, because Megumi is a feminine name and means blessing. A man who was called Monkey his entire life, a man who felt cursed by the world, names his son Blessing. Even with all that rage, all that pain, and all that thirst for revenge, deep down, Toji knew that child and his mother were the only pure things in his life, the only ones that really mattered. And before dying, Toji did something interesting. He handed Megumi over to the Zenin clan through an agreement with the family head, but in a way that Gojo could intervene, in a way that Megumi would have a chance at a better life. Toji loved his son, but he thought he was so broken, so defective, that he couldn't stay close to him. He thought he would contaminate Megumi with that darkness. The lesson we can take from this character is simple. You can't heal wounds using the approval of those who wounded you. Toji measured his success by others' standards, and because of that, no matter how much he achieved, it was never enough because he never did it for himself. He did it against them. Absolutely nothing would fill the internal void he had. It's okay to use rejection as initial fuel. Seriously, if someone doubted you and that gave you that push to go after your goals, great, use it, but you can't stop there. You need to evolve that motivation from external to internal, from proving to them to achieving for myself, because otherwise you'll be like Toji. You'll achieve incredible things and still feel empty, because your happiness will be tied to the validation of people who, let's be real, probably don't even think about you anymore. Build a life that you want to live, not a life that makes that person regret losing you. Because when you live like that, when your motivation comes from within, then no one can take that away from you. You escape the prison and stop giving power to those who hurt you. And you know why we identify so much with Toji? Because we see our own pain reflected in him. We see that feeling of wanting to prove something, of carrying rejection. The difference between you and Toji is that you still have time to choose to live for yourself, not to prove anything to anyone. You can still take that rejection and use it as the initial fuel it is, but then evolve and grow beyond it. Make your achievements yours. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't proving they were wrong about you. The best revenge is building a life so good that you stop thinking about them completely.